Hi there. For this video, we will be discussing, are they really sorry? People like to say the word sorry without really taking ownership of accountability of how they impacted you because it's a quick and easy way out. They just say a word and you're supposed to just forgive them. They'll use things like religion, spirituality, and their beliefs that you have to be a good person to guilt trip you and manipulate you into letting them back into your life and giving access to them again. But you don't owe people that. If they don't genuinely apologize and change their behavior, their sorry is just thin air and it means nothing. Especially if they keep saying sorry and doing the same thing. So, what is a real apology? How does it look like? And are they really sorry or do they just not care? So, a true apology requires empathy. It needs awareness of the impact that they had on you and that their behavior and communication or lack thereof did. And they need to understand of what they actually need to change. When a kid, for example, is told that they did something wrong, a lot of the time parents don't teach them like why it was wrong. They just yell at them or shame them and they punish them. Many people didn't really understand what they did or why they did it and what was wrong about it, so they never learned why not to do it or what to do differently growing up, and that follows them into adulthood. So they need to actually acknowledge the accountability. That step is just the first step. So to get there, they have to actually feel empathy. Not everybody feels empathy. Some people who are more narcissistic, their brains aren't wired to feel empathy the same way as normal humans or empaths. So you can't really get to the apology if they don't feel empathic, if they can't put themselves in your shoes and consider like how you felt in that moment, what they did or didn't do, and the impact that had on all of the surroundings in your life, including your health, your finances, your relationships, your trajectory. If they don't get that part and the awareness of its impact, they're not going to be able to understand what to change. Even if they say they know what to change and they're sorry for what they did, if they don't get how it affected you and actually put care into that, it's again just thin air, empty promises, and them not really caring and them not really being sorry. They're just sorry that they lost access to you. They're sorry that they lost the benefits to you. They're sorry that you're no longer putting up with their bullshit. So understanding of what to change is really just the first step to get to acknowledgement. And it doesn't mean that they're actually going to change. Just because someone understands knowledge doesn't mean they're applying it. So acknowledgement of accountability is one thing, like knowing, okay, I screwed up, I have something I need to do differently, here's the steps I'm going to take, here are things that I'm going to be aware of and do differently next time. But that's not really a guarantee. People can do that and then fall back and revert. Or they can do that for a long time and then suddenly it happens again. Or they say they're going to change and do all these great things and then they just start doing it immediately, or they just don't do it at all. It's just words. I promise this time I won't. I'm so sorry. It's just, it gets old. It's like a broken record. So it takes consistent changed behavior. If they do all these things and they say, I'm truly sorry for how I hurt you, this is what I said and did, this is how it impacted you, I understand what needs to change, not just on a verbal level, but emotionally. I felt into the hurt that you felt. I see how it affected you and when I wasn't there for you, when you were there for me. And I'm going to be accountable. I'm going to pay you with my time, my care, my energy, my money, my resources, my love, to consistently over time measure that change and growth, which doesn't mean that you owe me access or that you have to accept my apology. I just want to make things right. Now, if they do that and then they act differently when you revoke access or you don't accept them back into your life, that's not a real apology because you're allowed to forgive them without letting them back in. So If they say they're sorry for how it ended, that's a cop out. That's immature. I really can't stand when people do that. They're like, sorry for how it ended. It's like, I am too, and they're like, sorry for what? What? What do you mean how it ended? Like, how the benefits that you got ended? How the love I was giving you ended? How the friendship that I was there for you for ended? Like, obviously you're sorry for how it ended because you're not getting that anymore. So they aren't really sorry if they just say they're sorry for how it ended. Well, how did it end? They don't even look into that. They don't look into what they said and did or what they failed to do. They don't look at the toxic things that they were doing and their shadow and blind spots because their ego is too big and they're prideful. They don't want to pay attention to why it ended, which was probably them. If you already said sorry and you've already taken accountability for your part, or you had nothing to do with it, and they were the problem, they were the problem. How it ended was them. So if they just use that as an excuse, sorry for how it ended, they're not sorry for how it ended. They're just sorry that you realized it and that they no longer have access to you. Sorry for how you feel, that's not them actually empathizing for your emotions. That's them pretty much gaslighting you and telling you sorry for how you feel about it. They're not sorry that you feel that way because of what they did and that for what they did. They're sorry you feel that way because they don't want you to feel that way. They want you to feel good without them changing. So they're sorry that they have to change to make you feel good because they fucked up and they screwed up and did things that made you feel bad. And what they did needs to be acknowledged, but they're not doing that. They're blaming it on how you feel. They're trying to make you the problem again, because now how you feel is the problem, how it ended is the problem, not what they did. And really hurting you and how they hurt you. That's the key. You need to understand the how. So just saying that they hurt you is one thing, and getting to the point where they realize that they're the ones who hurt you, even if you hurt them, even if you did something, how you feel is valid, and how it ended is not just usually one person's fault. It's just that if they were the ones who ended it or caused the trigger or upset, if they made you feel or influenced you to feel negative and unhappy and triggered and upset and they mistreated you, what they did is on them. And hurting you is on them. And how they hurt you is on them. So they need to figure out how they're not going to hurt you, accepting that they're hurt you and they're not going to hurt you anymore, and what they're going to do differently. So again, they need to empathize. They need to have awareness. They need to understand. They need to acknowledge, and they need to change their behavior. It's that simple. If they don't do it, it's a no. So what can you do to prevent yourself from falling back into their manipulation strategies and believing they're BS sorry or overly apologizing yourself and falling back into this cycle of like giving them chances, trying to reconcile, spending your precious time, and then ending up in a place where you just wasted perhaps weeks or months or years of your life again and haven't been able to fully grieve and move on and start fresh with other people? Well, first of all, you have to have strong and healthy boundaries and not just give them a chance. If you see somebody and they act like nothing happened and then they try to go in for a hug without verbal consent, that's manipulation. If you run into them, if they email you, if they call you, if they Instagram message you, if they text you, whatever, you don't have to let them back in. You need to pause. You need to pause and separate yourself first. Because if they rush into it and come at you with this pretend, then you might be tempted to just fall into that. and just be like, oh, okay, hi, what's up? Oh yeah, and hug, and then just like, now you're like high off of the chemicals of interacting with them or touching them or feeling them energetically, and you're tempted then to give them access. And now you may be wanting to like make sense of it all and let them in because you care about them or you love them or you want them, and they use that. So when you pause, you don't let your brain or your neurochemicals or your hormones or emotions hijack the situation. And instead of just thinking with your heart or your head, you think with this head, or, you know, whatever trauma bond is running the show, or whatever unresolved childhood trauma that you're letting pretty much dictate the course of action. You put yourself in the driver's seat. So you just pause, take some nose breaths, and calm your body down, calm your nervous system, and regulate. Because they want you dysregulated if they're not really sorry. They want you to feel sorry for them. They want you to feel sorry for how it ended and to start blaming yourself and looking for reasons for why you were wrong. Because that lets them pretty much bypass everything. That lets them to just go the back entrance and not have to do the work to get to the front yard and knock on the door and see if they'll even be let in. They just get to show up at your window and like, oh, the window's open. Oh, it's not locked. Here, let me knock. Oh, they let me in. So they get this like weird, easy access to you when they try to go the other routes. And what you need to do is shut those other routes off and pretty much be like, the backyard's closed. There's an electric fence there. The window's locked. Or if they knock, you shut the window and close it. And the front door is pretty much locked. It can open. You do have like a security system, like one of those alarm bells with the cameras, and you kind of need to consider them as an intruder on your peace of mind. If they've caused havoc, they've caused trauma, they've caused abandonment or betrayal and ruined your trust, that's not somebody to just let into your home. They say not to invite a vampire into your home, and I think that metaphor is pretty significant when it comes to people who are not sorry, because they're draining. They are energetic and emotional and psychic vampires when they do that, because they are deceiving you. They're trying to use your energy, and they just want things to be great and dandy, even though they're the vampire elephant in the room. They don't want to look at the light. They don't want the light to shine on them because it burns. And they don't want to look into the mirror because I'm pretty sure in mirrors, vampires are invisible or something like that. So they feel invisible when they have to look at their shadow and take accountability, because their whole self-concept is based on an illusion of perfectionism, of narcissism. And when they have to look at their imperfections and change and take accountability, all of a sudden they feel like their whole idea of who their persona is doesn't even actually exist, because they were identified with an illusion. This is why it's so important to protect your energy and keep yourself safe, because people can be dangerous, people can be pathological, people can be sociopathic and psychopathic, and unfortunately a lot of people out there have these tendencies. There are people who have not gotten therapy or healed or looked at their wounds. They don't meditate, they don't pray, they don't journal, they don't do the work to really sit there and reflect, introspect, and be like, what am I doing? Why am I like this? What did my parents do wrong? What did my partners and friends do wrong? How are people maybe enabling me? How am I justifying myself? They don't sit there and think that. Or if they do, they're just like, oh, okay. Or like, oh great, people are just putting up with what I'm doing, or my parents screwed up, but hey, I've gotten this far and it doesn't really matter. There's other new people I can just screw around with, and I don't really have to change. Oh, I'm cute, people like me. Oh, I gave them a hug, they let me back in so quickly, they just gave me their number, or they started talking like nothing happened again. It's working, so why would I change it? And so People in their lives taught them that they can get away with it, and you can teach them that they can get away with it. And you have to be very careful, because everything you're doing is that you're teaching people how to treat you. When you just let people back in without them actually taking accountability and giving you a genuine apology or changing, you're letting them know that they can treat you like trash. You're showing them that it's okay to do that to you. You're letting them know that you care about them more than you care about how you feel. And that it's okay that they're not sorry, that they can still be with you and have access to your life without being sorry. They're like being told that they need to apologize with your words, but you're showing them with your action that they can just go back in. Or you didn't even tell them that they have to, and so they just come back in. Especially if you do this thing where you tell them that they need to say sorry or that they hurt you, and they say, oh, sorry for how it ended, sorry you feel that way, and they don't actually genuinely apologize for what they did or give a plan on what their change will be. And then you just start making plans to hang out, or you are like, oh, well, I'm sorry too for what I did, and this is how it hurt you, and I care about you, and you actually start going into real apologies. They're able to blame shift onto you. They're able to shift that energy from their side onto your side of the street. And it creates this imbalance and asymmetry where now you're the one that's having to carry the relationship again. And it's exhausting. If you were the one that was carrying the relationship before and then they abandoned you or destroyed the relationship, you're still hurt and you still have the fatigue from dealing with all that. So starting to carry things again is going to exhaust you really quickly, and you're going to end up drained. You're going to end up feeling like you are the one that's having to do everything, and it's going to be painful, it's going to be miserable, and you're going to realize that you are the one that's causing it, not them. They can treat you however they want, but you get to decide if you allow that. When you tolerate disrespect, it only gets more disrespectful over time. It doesn't improve, they don't change, and they see the more they can get away with, the more they can get away with. It's like if you give a mouse a cookie, it only grows in its dysfunction. So you need to be willing to cut it out early, because at the end of the day, it's your life, it's your relationships, and you get to decide. So stop letting them do that. Stop letting them betray you. Stop letting them take advantage of your kindness. And stop letting them into your life when they don't really mean they're sorry. They're not sorry. They show you they don't care about how you feel. They show you they're going to show up and take advantage of your time and energy and resources. They're going to take your love, your gifts, your care, and they're not going to reciprocate anything back. They don't mean what they say when they just say it and then don't do it. They don't mean it if they don't genuinely understand. They don't mean it if they don't have a plan to change, and if they don't stick to that plan. And even if they stick to that plan, you still don't owe them whatever it is that they want from you. You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to not give them that. And you're allowed to change your mind even after you give them some of it. You're allowed to decide, this isn't for me, I don't want this, or the pain that was caused has already caused too much harm. Or what you're doing is causing me to not trust you again, or you're falling back short on your word and you're inconsistent. Or I've decided I just don't feel the same way about you anymore, and the trust that was broken has caused irreparable damage and eroded the foundations of this relationship. And you can be boring, you can be annoying, you can be uncomfortable or inconvenient to them. Like, you're allowed to be inconvenient. Like, what they did to you and how it impacted you is allowed to linger. And you're allowed to feel like that's it. Like, they had their chance, they blew it, and that's something that they have to live with. You don't have to live with the consequences of somebody else's actions and inactions. Like, if they ruined the relationship and they ended it, then they're sorry for how it ended. That's on them. You don't have to feel that way. You don't have to feel it. So you don't have to feel like you have to deal with people. Like, family, friends, they can be annoying. People can try to intrude on your space. An example is like asking someone not to interrupt the video, and then they interrupt the video and then they act shocked. Like, it's like they knew better. You told them, especially in those cases, like when you tell people, for example, something not to do, and then they do it, and they act sorry, they're not actually sorry because they knew better and you warned them. So then when people do things, for example, like that you already told them you don't feel okay about, and they should have known better because they knew you or they got to know you or you spent enough time together, right? Like after years of being in a relationship with somebody, they should be attuned to you enough to understand what you do and don't like and what your pet peeves are. And if they specifically do things that trigger you, they want to trigger you. They want a reaction. They enjoy it. Or they're looking for a quick and easy route out of the relationship because they don't want to actually have the conversation about this is incompatible, or I don't want what you want, or I don't feel the same way. So they figure out a quick and easy route to destroy everything. It's easy. If they do that, they were already looking for a way to do that. If they disrespect you, then they were already disrespectful of you. If they're unaware, then they weren't aware in the first place and they weren't trying to be aware. Or they're playing dumb. If people knew what you said, like you set a boundary with them and you communicated that you don't like something and they do it anyway, then that shows that they don't respect how you feel. It's okay to make a mistake here and there, and it's okay to forget, or it's okay to slip up. That's human, and it's important to have grace with people. It's just when it's a pattern and you can feel the energy behind it's negative and like they want to bring out the worst in you, that's not somebody that you want to be around. That's not something that's healthy for you. For example, like if you're making videos and you try to make videos and you ask someone to be quiet and then they just get loud in the middle of your videos, they are trying to sabotage you most likely, or they're a negative person, or they're just not a positive influence, or they violate your boundaries and they don't care, or they're just forgetful and thoughtless and careless, and they just don't, they're not conscientious of that. And even if they sign up for what you agreed upon and they made a mistake, like why are they making that mistake? If you let them know, they should know better. We're adults, we're not kids anymore. And I understand even adults make mistakes. It's just like, let's say in a relationship you tell somebody, I really don't like when people come in for a hug without asking consent. And then that's exactly what they do when they see you again, or when they see you again after there's been a relationship rupture. They know better and they're doing it anyway. So are they really sorry? No, they're not. If they were really sorry, they would have not done that. They would have paused. They would have considered how you feel, and they would have respected how you really feel. So the fact that they're doing things that aren't respectful to you, the fact that they're proceeding along with things regardless of how it can affect your life, that just goes to show that they don't really put you in their mind when they make choices. It's just about me. It's about them. So their narcissism spills out in certain ways because their lack of awareness or their intentional disregard and blatant disregard of your boundaries just goes to show how sorry they really are or aren't. So they can save it, just be like, save it. I don't want to hear the apology. I don't need the words. And pretty much they either do different or they don't next time. But at that point, you don't really care because they've already violated things so many times that it gets old. It gets old hearing about it. And by the time they've, fixed it or improved it, their impact has already occurred. So it doesn't really matter how sorry they are when they've damaged you and the relationship. So if they continue to do things that hurt you, they don't care. If they show you they don't care, they don't care. If they didn't consider how you felt, they don't care. If they tell you that it's the situation itself that they're sorry for, they don't care. If they make it about you and blame you, they don't care. It's like there's so many ways that they can not care. But to care, it only takes like two things. It's to acknowledge how you feel and what they did and how it impacted you. So pretty much just how you feel and it being their fault and being sorry for hurting you. And then saying what they're going to do different. So it's like, sorry I hurt you, this is what I'm going to do different. It doesn't take much. It's not rocket science. Like, let's stop acting like apologies are like a minefield or like lasers in a museum you have to jump through. It's very straightforward and straight to the point, like ABC. Like, it happened, you screwed up, this is what you're going to do different. If adults can't do that and they can't stick to doing different and they keep doing the same thing again and again, they just don't care. They're lazy, they're arrogant, they're ignorant, they're careless, or they're negligent, or they actually want to harm you. And that's a hard part to accept sometimes, is like, did this person really mean to hurt me? And it's like, you don't want to make stories in your head like, oh, they're out to get me, they're trying to sabotage my video, or this person like screwed over our relationship because they were just feeding off my energy and they just want to drain me, or they want to take more from me, or they want to make themselves better than me, or they're jealous or envious of me. However, sometimes those stories can actually be true or contain truth in them. And it's hard to accept that like these people who you love and care for and consider not only don't care, but they actually meant to hurt you, whether it was conscious or subconscious. They did it. And if they continue doing it after you ask them to stop, or they have continued to do it, regardless of if you've acknowledged it, it just kind of shows you what they do. So it's kind of like, let them, right? I believe Mel Robbins says that. It's like, if you just let people, you can let them do what they were going to do. So instead of trying to tell them what to do, a good way to test people and see if they're sorry, especially after they apologize, is not to try to enforce that apology, not to try to get them to change. It's to just say, oh, like, they said sorry, or they're not sorry. Let me just see how they proceed. You witness, you observe, and their behavior shows you what they'd rather do. So when you let people do what they want to do, you see what they would rather do. And I love that quote because it shows you without you needing to try to figure it out. Because the more you try to hold on and battle it, the more you try to explain to people things, the more you try to get them to respect you or your boundaries, the more that you understand that you're just trying to work for them and do their work. Like, you're trying to keep them on track, you're trying to keep the relationship going, and that's emotional labor. It's draining. Like, it's just so exhausting to sit there and try to do someone else's work as an adult. It's like doing someone's test for them. It's like, even if you know all the answers, you're still writing, like, you're still putting in energy, you're still filling out the form for them, and you're doing their homework, you're doing their studies, like, you're passing for them, and that's like not real. Like, they pretty much cheated for them on their test. Like, they need to do their studies, they need to understand what they did wrong, they need to do their homework, they need to get educated, they need to spiritually level up, and then they need to pass their tests, and those tests are not yours, and their grades are not yours, and whether they pass and make it into the next class is not yours, and whether they go to school with you or college is not yours, or whether they graduate that and then go into careers with you is not yours. And so an example is like, I would do that growing up for somebody I cared about, and I would help them, and I attempted to assist them in getting into college and helping them go, and they didn't. And so I had to eventually just realize that that was their problem. They didn't want to study, they didn't want to take their career seriously, and I had to go my own way. And that person didn't take it seriously. They didn't go ahead with their studies, and they did something else. And so I knew that if I had continued to enable them, I would have to continue filling that role that wasn't mine, because they weren't committed and dedicated to a path of professionalism and education and career growth. Yet I was. And so there's people who will hold you back if you let them, because you're going to be caretaking their dysfunction, whether it's in education, whether it's in finances, whether it's in career. You're going to continue to have these experiences with them. Like, there are people who are going to continue to interrupt videos when you try to record, and you're going to keep trying to get them to not do that, for example, but instead, next video you can go to a different environment or on another day. or those people who aren't going to fix the relationship, you just go to a different relationship because you realize that you don't have to sit there and try to do the work for them and get them to understand you, because they're not going to understand you and they simply don't care. So the bottom line is like understanding that they don't care, understanding that they're not sorry, and realizing that ultimately, if they're not sorry and you keep trying to get them to be, you're going to be doing work that's theirs to do and you're going to get more drained and exhausted. You don't have to babysit people. You don't have to hold their hand, make them be an adult, and make them grow up. They need to grow up. And seriously, like after a certain age, it's embarrassing. Like, who are you? What are you? What are you doing? Like, have some self-respect. You know, you're a clown and a fool at that point. If you keep going back to somebody who hurt you, who's not truly sorry, who doesn't mean it, who doesn't care, and trying to get them to care or coexist with them, it's like self-deprecating. It's like you're killing off parts of yourself that need love and respect instead of giving them acknowledgement and walking away. And you know that that person's not going to change. They're showing you they're not going to change. And like, it can be difficult. There can be living situations, finances, all kinds of things. But if you have a free will choice and you're not even enmeshed or entangled with them, and they just show up again, and you choose to willingly go into that when they're not sorry, you don't respect yourself. You don't love yourself. And of course you wouldn't if you went through trauma and abuse and neglect and people mistreated you, or you never really learned to love yourself, or you never invested that into yourself and you never had those boundaries and always let people walk all over you. It's obvious if, you know, people always treated you that way and got along with you and got access to you regardless of what they've done, then they get to keep doing it and they get to keep disrespecting you. So you need to show people that they can't do that, which I'm about to do. So sometimes, like, things aren't going to be perfect. They're going to be messy. Like, you're going to have to bitch people out again. Like, when you ask nicely and they don't get it, they aren't gonna get it. Like, you have to change how you approach them. Or you remove yourself from the situation. They say, like, either you change the situation if you can, or you get out. If you can't change the situation, you can't change yourself in the situation to make it work, then you have to leave. And either way, you have to leave, because if you don't feel as respected and loved as you do in other situations, you might as well go toward the more respectable situations anyway. But if you're tolerating things or dealing with endurism, where you're just putting up with someone's shitty behavior, it's going to get old, or you're going to see better behavior and treatment from others, and you're going to be like, wait, why am I putting up with this if better exists? Or this person's sorry, but they're not really that sorry, and there's other people who are already treating me better, or other people who are genuinely apologetic. And so when you start to see it like that, like, you actually get repulsed and disgusted by how people can treat you and impact you, and you see them for who they really are, and it's kind of like gross. You look at them and they look like they're just a buffoon. They're like a child that's not grown and hasn't matured, and it's immature, it's unattractive. Like, would you date a child? Like, ew, no. Like, what? That's gross, that's wrong. Would you, you know, go to a circus and try to date a clown who, you know, is doing tricks all the time? No, you're not going to do that, because it's not that they're a clown. Like, clowns are fun and cool. It's that they're emotionally unavailable, or they're working all the time. But when somebody's acting like a total clown, like actually like in a relationship, like as if they're putting on a clown show, and you are the one that's like watching the show, and you're like, hey, can you please be sorry? Are you sorry? Can you treat me well? Can you stick to your apology? Oh, we had a plan. You start to look dumb, and then you feel dumb, because you're like, wait, they keep interrupting something I'm doing. I've told them to not. They know that I'm going to move forward with my life if I do it. They keep doing it, even if it's subtle. They've done it more than once. They just did it more than once. They get to see proof of that. And I'm like, oh, Well, I already know they don't respect me because they've been disrespectful. I already know they're not aware and they're not willing to change because they don't. And I already know that they aren't really sorry because they say sorry again and again and they keep doing it. Or they keep pretending that they're making a mistake when a mistake is like one or two times, but continued, it's actually not a lesson anymore. They're just not putting in the work and they don't want to and they're just lazy or lame or careless. Or you don't really need to understand the why. Like, why do they keep doing this to me? It's like the more you try to do that, the more you keep that loop open. It's more so about acknowledging that they are doing this to you and you don't need it. The faster you accept that they're doing it and that you don't want it and that they're not sorry, the faster you can get out. Why aren't they sorry? It doesn't matter. They might be a narcissist. They might be a sociopath. They might be a total asshole. And when you finally free yourself from this mindset of like trying to decipher everything, trying to replay every conversation, trying to understand why they did it, like you don't need to understand why they did it. Like the why is that they did it because they wanted to and they did it because they had to and because that's how they do things to get their needs met, for example. Or the why is that they did it because they did it, like because they were capable of doing that and that they are able to disregard and disrespect you enough to just do that and that they don't care enough to consider you when they do things, so they did that. That's why they did it. Why did they do it? Because it gave them a purpose or served them in a certain way, and it gave them grandiosity, or it gave their ego a chip on their shoulder, or they feel like they're superior than you, or whatever. Give yourself whatever reason you need. Like, you can just fill in the blank. Like, and your intuition and your gut will tell you, and their behavior already tells you why they did it. Like, you already know why they're doing it. It could be that they're trying to sabotage you. Well, obviously they're trying to do that because they benefit from when you're around them and they get to manipulate you and have access to you in other ways. So of course holding you back and keeping you stunted and in their control is in their best interest or their ego's best interest. So you already know why they're doing things. Or they don't really want to say sorry or they don't want to change. Like, it's obvious. So just save yourself that headache of trying to figure out why. Like, that loop is so self-defeating and it's going to keep you stuck. And the more you try to figure out why, like an idiot, oh, why did they hurt me, why are they doing this, why are they playing me, you're going to keep getting played. They're going to keep showing you why, because asking it is given. Oh, why? Oh, well, here's why. Because I don't care, because I'm not really sorry. I don't really give a crap about how you feel or what happened to you or what I did to make you feel that way, or the way I abandoned or betrayed or mistreated you, or the way I'm sabotaging your success, or the way I'm causing you pain and suffering. You want to know why? This is why. And they'll give you more reasons. You know, they'll tell you to your face, they'll show you to your face, and if you don't listen and acknowledge and do something about it, then you're the dumb one. I mean, at a certain point, I don't think ignorance is an excuse. Like, when you're aware, like, it's really your fault and it's your problem if you keep going back to them. I get Stockholm syndrome. I understand there's an addiction. I get an intermittent reinforcement. Like, I understand it's addictive. You get withdrawals. Oh, I love them. I want to go back to them. Oh, I care about them. Oh, I feel bad when they're hurt and in pain. I should do something to alleviate it. Because, you know, it's kind of selfish. Like, you kind of want to rescue a part of them that's in you, and you're also like trying to alleviate yourself of the guilt that you'd feel if you saw them suffer, and you know that they'd probably be better off with you than without you or with someone else, and if they lose you they're gonna hurt later. But I get the selflessness in it at the same time. Like, you're looking out for them. It's just meet that part of yourself with healthier ways to meet your needs. Like, acknowledge that, you know, you want to feel okay. You don't feel okay about how things are. So stop trying to change how things are with them. Make yourself feel okay. And stop trying to understand them or their pain and suffering. Like, consider yourself for once. Love yourself for once. Step into your own shoes, into your own body, into your own life, and like really be present and meet the things that you need to get met. Stop trying to make your whole life about them and what's going on in their experience. They don't do that about you. Clearly, they don't even consider you or put you into their thought process when making decisions. It's all about them. Actually learn from them. Do what they're doing. I'm not saying to not be sorry and to be mean and hurtful, but be a little bit more selfish. Even be a little bit more narcissistic, not in a pathological way, but be like, this reality is about me. Like, my life is about me, how I feel, you know, not the entire reality of the universe and stuff, but my life. Like, I love myself, you know, and learn from them. Like, take on some of their example and, you know, give them a taste of their own medicine, not by trying to like get revenge or, you know, prove a point to them. Like, oh, I don't care about you, I love myself, or you're not really sorry, so I'm just gonna like be mean to you and treat you like crap and, you know, cut off access to show you that how, you know, I'm the one in control here. No, 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 no. The more that you make the situation about them and trying to prove something to them, the more you're focused on them. So what does law of attraction give you? More of them, or more of problems regarding them, or more of then disappointments around them. Don't do that to yourself. Instead, make it about you. Make it about how you're going to love yourself better. Make it about how you're not going to tolerate people who apologize and then do things that they said they wouldn't, or that give you fake apologies, or that aren't really sorry. Make it about how you love yourself, you trust yourself, you're going to do better, and that you're going to attract better. And make it about where people are actually going to apologize to you and change their behavior. Make it about where you don't even put yourself in positions where people have to apologize for you, because they're already a step ahead thinking about your best interests. They're already taking action that's aligned. They're already doing things where they're not screwing up all the time. So they don't have to keep saying sorry. And they already care. So they don't have to not care or to care. You know, they already do. So save yourself the headache. Some people don't care. They just don't. They're not sorry. They don't care. They don't care about how you feel. They're not going to actually change. They don't actually apologize. Their sorries mean nothing. They go right back to it. They want you to feel bad. They want you to caretake them and hold their hand like mommy, like you're their mommy or daddy, like you're their parent, you know? You're not their parent. Like, I don't care what problems they want to use as an excuse from their childhood, or if they had parents. If they're over 18 and they're an adult, it's their responsibility to heal and grow and get through what happened to them. It's not their responsibility what happened to them, it's their responsibility to heal that. It's not yours. It's not your responsibility to keep trying to mend things that you didn't break, to rebuild trust that you didn't erode, to keep finding solutions to somebody who won't even drink the water that they're led to or take your hand and walk with you. You can't keep waiting around. At a certain point, you have to leave people where they're at, let them go, and let them sit in the mess that they made. And later, once they realize that they are sorry because they did screw up and that they did hurt you, that they lost access for good, that's on them. If they finally develop the time and energy that they've invested to build empathy, to understand what you went through and how their decisions impacted you in your trajectory, like if they actually put that investment in to even get to the point that they're like, oh, I screwed up, I lost this person for life, or they don't want to talk to me anymore, that's like just the first step. And like, that doesn't mean that they can access you again, because if they've crossed the line of no return, it doesn't matter how much work they do. It doesn't matter if they realize a year or 5 years or 10 years or 2 decades down the line. It's not your problem at that point. It's theirs. Like, they have to sit with that. They have to do the work with the next people. Like, if new people even want to be around them, if they've developed enough growth to have healthy behavior for new people, or if the people that they've hurt that they haven't crossed lines of no return with want their apology or are going to accept their apology and change behavior. That's their circus, that's their universe, that's their life and monkeys. Like, you have your own life, and once you move on, you can princess wave at them, you know, just be Anne Hathaway for a sec, you know, and be elegant in your divinity. Like, treat yourself like royalty, like a queen. It's just, there's no point of being a pauper or peasant. They treat you like trash because you treat yourself like trash. They treat you like trash because you look like trash or feel like trash when you're around them and they're stressing you out and you keep tolerating it. And your aura looks like trash when you let in people who don't really mean that they're sorry back into your life. Like, imagine how that affects your spiritual field and vibration. It's not in alignment with source, it's not healthy, it's not with congruency regarding your highest self. It's your ego, it's your wounded self, it's your inner child crying for love that you need to answer the call for, not trying to answer calls for them when, you know, the line is dead, or they haven't paid the phone bill, or they're sorry that they didn't, but they don't even have the money to pay the bill. Like, you're the one with the funds, so go pay your own bill, get your own line, and answer the call to your own higher self and inner child, and go from there. Block their number if you need to, delete it, remove it, whatever. If they want to, they'll find a new number to call you from. They'll find a new way to say sorry to you. Even if you cut them off, they can do the work. They can figure out a way to email you if they want. They can send a freaking pigeon with a message. You know, if they wanted to, they would. So if they didn't, they don't want to. And if they aren't gonna, they're not gonna. So let them. Let them figure it out. If they want to find a way to access you to say sorry, that's great. And the thing is, if someone really loves you and cares about you and truly means that they're sorry, they're going to still apologize to you whether or not they get access to you ever again, because they're going to be doing it for you. If they're sorry for themselves, they're not sorry for you. So if they're really sorry for you, they're going to apologize to make sure that you feel okay, to make sure that you get the healing you need, that you get the closure that you could from them, and that you are benefited by it, and that your reality increases in value, in joy, in abundance, in love, and all the good things, because they want your best interests. As Teal Swan says, to love somebody is to consider their best interests. So if they don't consider your best interests, they don't really love you the way that you actually need to be loved. They love you how they want to love you. If they're not considering like how this apology is going to benefit you, and they just show up unannounced at your house when they haven't called or gotten consent, that's about them. They don't actually mean they're sorry. They just want to get rid of the guilt they feel. If they say sorry and then keep doing things, then they're not considering how it impacts you. So somebody who's actually sorry is going to consider your best interests. They're going to consider how it impacts you. And they're going to impact you in a positive way, regardless of if you're going to let them back in, because they want the best for you. So they're like, oh, I love this person. I screwed up. I don't know if they're ever going to talk to me again or want to be with me, but I'm still going to say sorry, and I'm going to say why, and I'm going to do the right thing, and I'm going to make it up to them, regardless if I ever get to see them again or be with them, because it's the right thing to do. It's integrity. It's just morally just, and it's what the loving, kind gesture would be. If you screwed up and you hurt people, you kind of got to fix that, unless you want karma to come back into your life as people who treat you that way. Or the universe and God and source, or whatever you want to believe it to be, life will probably punish you, or you'll end up just not as happy with other people as you would with that person that you lost. And that is the punishment, including becoming the person you don't want to be and not living according to values. Like, all those things are negative and they're karmic. And to avoid all of that, or at least for others to not remember you in a negative way, you could at least try. Like, you could at least attempt to make it right. And it's hard. I think after a certain point, saying sorry can still feel like thin air, even when you understand how you hurt people. And it just still sounds like a broken record. Or even if you change over time or consistently over time, it doesn't really mean anything anymore after a certain point of damage, or when enough time has passed. Yet I believe people should at least still try, because I usually don't use the word should or try. It's just, you kind of would be encouraged to at least attempt. And like, attempts don't mean guarantees. And even if there is a guarantee that they'll get the message, or you know that it would impact them in a positive way, but it wouldn't give you guaranteed access, like, it's still nice to do. And so it's like, these people, they're not really sorry. They don't really care, because it takes like 2 seconds to write a text message and say, hey, I'm sorry for how I treated you. I hope you're okay. Like, I'd like to send you a gift. Here's some money, or here, let me send you some flowers, or like, let me come take you out, or let's get on a call. I want to see your face. I want to see you smile. Oh, okay. You don't want that from me, or you don't want to see me. You don't want to talk to me. All right. What can I do to make it right for you? Like, instead of projecting and assuming what's right and how to fix things, they're also going to ask you. They're going to be like, how can I fix this? What can I do? What amount do you want me to pay you? What actions do you want me to take? What steps can I embark upon to rebuild trust, if any? And can I please see you again? Like, I want to see you again, or I want to be there for you, or can I, say the right things that you want to hear? Are there things that you want to hear that you want me to say? Are there gifts that you would like me to buy, or places you'd like me to take you? Or can I support you in getting certain help or resources, or assist you in your new relationships that you experience, even if you don't have a relationship with me? Like, can I do what is right to make sure that you're okay and that you move forward happy and healthy? That is a true apology. That is someone who actually loves you and cares about you, not someone who is guaranteed access to you. And if that person really loves you, they'll still love you and do the right thing for you, even if they no longer get to see you again, and if you decide the relationship's done for life. They can still do right by you and apologize and change their behavior anyway. So that kind of needs to be the bottom line. And the litmus test and the rule for people is, if they were never to see you again and get access to your life, would they still apologize genuinely, change their behavior while acknowledging what they did to you and how it impacted you, understanding it, and then doing better over time and continuing to do better over time, regardless of if they get access to you again? That's the rule. Anything other than that is pretty much saying they can apologize, they can treat you right here and there, and then screw up or fall back again and again and again, or just not care at all, and that they still get some access, and the access to you is guaranteed. And that's the whole problem with people who aren't sorry, is they assume they have guaranteed access. And that's where they mess up. So you got to show them that they messed up, not tell them. And not for them, for yourself. Because if you have dignity, you'll realize access to me is earned. I'm worthy of love. I'm worthiness. I'm abundance. And that takes therapy. That takes healing. That takes overcoming trauma bonds and cutting people out. And it takes action, right? It takes actually doing these things over time to believe this subconsciously, that you actually do deserve good, that you are worthy of love. So of course you're not going to feel that if you haven't done that. But when you actually do feel and think that, and don't just say it, but you act based on those beliefs, now it's a whole different ball game, because they're interacting with someone who's not reacting to their behavior, who's not trying to change them, who's not trying to get them to stick to their apologies and sorries, or to stay committed to that consistency over time. They just don't care. They're not giving them that. They're not giving them communication. They're not giving them access. They're not giving them breadcrumbs of interaction or energy or even focus. They're not giving them that, oh, you can just come back whenever. It's done. Or it's really hard to get access back in, and it has to get earned. There's privacy, there's walls, there's blocks, there's secretaries, there's different phone numbers, there's costs, right? The value increases of access to you, and so they have to keep paying those costs. And the more expensive it gets, they might not be able to afford it, or they just can't even buy it because it's not for sale. NFS, no more. That's it. It was one of one, unavailable, collectible, rare, taken, gone. And people sometimes only realize that when it's too late, too little too late. They can't get it anymore. They waited too long. They thought about it too long. They didn't take it when they had it. They let other people have it. They half-assed it. They only did some of the work. They didn't stick to their apology. They didn't change their behavior. They didn't really understand why. They didn't really research and study and do the work to understand what they did wrong or why it was wrong. And it's not your job to go back to their childhood where they weren't properly parented and taught things. They were just punished. They weren't taught and educated and walked through processes to grow. Or even worse, if they did learn and they were educated as a kid or young adult, and then they still do it anyway. At that point, it's obliviousness into oblivion. They knew, they did it anyway, they should have known better, and they kept doing it. Well, at that point, are you the stupid one? Or are they? Or both? Probably both. It's a circus. So let's cut the clown show. Let's stop putting people on a pedestal and justifying their crappy behavior. And let's stop letting them just bulldoze and stampede their way back into our life whenever convenient for them. And let's actually have some healthy boundaries and standards and self-respect and value, enough to love yourself enough to be like, I'm worthy of the best. I'm going to stick to it. Let them do what they want. They're going to miss out. They're going to figure that out on their own time. I don't even care. It's not about proving a point to them. I'm already on to better. I'm living better and giving it to myself, and I'm choosing better people and things for me. That's the life that's so much better. Not sitting there and continuing to try to get people to be something that they're either never going to be, they're going to half-ass being, or they're just going to do it and you're going to be the one carrying it. The people who are meant to apologize, who care, and are meant to fix things with you will do it, and they're going to be the ones to do the work. They're going to be the ones to carry it. They're going to be the ones to fix things and initiate contact or repair, and they're going to stay consistent with their part, and they're not going to also do your part either. It's going to be equal and balanced. Healthy relationships exist. Healthy people exist. Accountable people exist. And I know in a world, in a society where there's a lot of narcissism, sociopathy, psychopathy, insane people, dysfunctional, delusional, and toxic, abusive dynamics, it can feel like there's no love or people are lame. And that's valid in a lot of ways, yet it's important to keep the hope, keep the faith, and keep being the change you wish to see, while choosing selectively who you're going to be around, what you're going to tolerate, what you'll enable or not, and ultimately ascending in self-love and love for others by also respecting them enough to say, you know what, that behavior is better off somewhere else because you're better than that, and I'm just not going to be the one to let you stoop to that level. So I know you better than that. Like, I know you're better than that and higher up than that. So I love you enough to not encourage that kind of craziness. And it's not like a critical place from like judging them or an ego trap of like feeling superior to them. It's simply like respecting them and yourself and loving each other enough to be like, this isn't good for either of us, and you need to go heal and do your work, and that's your problem, or you don't even need to do that. It's you to decide if you want to do that or need to do that. I'm not going to even assess any of it. I'm focused fully on my path and the people that are focused on their path, and we're just walking together in health and happiness. That is the best way to teach someone to be sorry. That's the best way to get people to understand how they hurt you. That's the best way to get them to realize they lost you for life and to realize they need to change their behavior. And that doesn't always mean that they get to do that with you. It means that they got to go live their life and they got to deal with the consequences. So at the end of the day, love yourself enough to walk away. Love yourself to not let people back in until they've earned access. And love yourself enough to be okay with there being a line of no return where people no longer have access to you because they didn't apologize in time, or either they just apologized and didn't fix things, or they just apologized and half-assed the situation. Otherwise, if they did apologize and they did change things and they did fix it, but you still don't feel like being with them because you just changed your mind, you're allowed to do that. It's your life. It's whatever you want to do. Live it. Slay.